So me and CoasterObsessed just went head to head in a 48-hour weekend build-off to see who can build the best Eurofighter out of Knex. There are a few rules to this challenge. Number 1. You must stay within the build area, and since my bedroom is a lot smaller than his basement, we picked that as a size, which is 10 foot by 5 foot. Number 2, you must use the provided 3D printed train. And number 3, you only have 1 weekend to build. But before this build off started, I needed to print us both a Eurofighter train so that it could be as fair as possible. We would both use the exact same 3D printed car, the same shape, the same size, and the same weight. We both also at the same time ordered 12 fresh brand new ceramic bearings. This was all to try and make the competition as fair as possible. Now I did document my build a lot more over on TikTok, so if you want to see that, then head over there. But first, watch this video. On Friday night we both agreed to start the competition a little bit early, and boy did I need that extra time. I started by building a roughly 1 foot tall station and brake run. After this I built a simple left hand turn into an outer banked little bunny hill. This led to my vertical lift hill, which stood at an impressive 5 foot and 7 inches. This is where I stopped on the first evening of building. At this point I realised that CoasterObsessed had taken a slightly different approach to me and was actually building his layout backwards. This was so that he could build each element with enough speed to complete the one that he had previously built, and this did make sense. In the first evening of building, CoasterObsessed managed to start his vertical lift hill, an outer banked 90-degree turn, a small airtime hill, and the track for the station and the brake run. And that was it for our first day of building. Day 2 rolled around and I got straight to work building the rest of my beyond vertical drop. I added the chain for the lift before getting to work on my first main element of the ride. This would be the ginormous 4 foot 1 inch Immelman loop. Kind of similar to Saw the Ride from Thorpe Park. Now I don't know how, but I ended up spending almost the entire first day on that one element. And this was making me fall behind in time, and the only other thing I was able to get done that day was start the supports for my next element. However, CoasterObsessed had a much more successful day 2. He ended up building a 360-degree helix, a strange looking double up, which also banked round 180 degrees, and this like really big drop off of like what seemed to be a mid-course brake run. By the third and final day we were both falling behind on time. Now we both ended up not streaming for the final day, and we just sat and focused on building for like 10 to 12 hours straight. CoasterObsessed would actually finish his layout the same way that mine started, with a beyond vertical drop straight into an Immelman. However, his Immelman would then lead into a vertical loop that was quite drawn out and almost hang time focused. Now this next part is how I ended up building for almost 14 hours straight on that final day in order to make sure I finished within the time. My first idea was to build a double up, and then it banked 90 degrees to the right into a wave turn that headed through the Immelman. I wanted to then build like a 540 degree helix and then come back through the Immelman and then into the final brakes. However, after finishing the double up and the wave turn, I figured out that it just wouldn't have enough speed to get back to the brakes. This was a disaster. I had just spent 4 hours building just to tear it down and come up with a different ending to my layout. After tearing apart all that work, I basically was desperate just to finish the layout, and I ended the layout with a low to the ground airtime hill straight into a vertical loop with a 180 degree rising bank turnaround, and then just a little pop of airtime into the brakes. I had a decent amount of speed left at the end as well, which meant I probably could have got 1 or even 2 more elements. But because I was crushed for time, I just couldn't build any more than what I had. So, without further ado, this is what I ended up building in my first ever Knex roller coaster build off.